Good afternoon, High Point Market. How excited are you guys to be here today? You've stood in line. This is absolutely amazing. I'm Tammy Nagum. I'm the president and CEO of the High Point Market Authority, and we could not be happier to see this crowd here today. Do you guys know there are 900 seats in this theater? And we are full, and you made it. Is that amazing? We have a fantastic panel for you all today, sponsored by Laloy. We could not be happier to be working with one of our premier exhibitors here today to bring you some amazing education. And at the end of the day, that's what High Point's all about. New product, education, networking, meeting people that will make your business better when you go home to practice design. And we are happy to be the home of where that happens. Today, we are going to introduce Business of Homes Dennis Scully, who is going to introduce you to our most amazing panel. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today, and help me welcome these folks to the stage.
Thank you, Tammy. Come on out here. Come. Wow. Take it all in, right? I mean, take it in, take your pictures, take your videos, right? Have you ever in your life seen this assemblage here? I mean, yeah, it's a moment you'll remember all your lives. That's our hope. That's our hope. So I thought that, hi, by the way, I'm Dennis Scully from Business of Home. Thank you so much for coming. You are so lovely to have all lined up in the way that you did and showed up. And oh, hi up there too, hi. Oh, hi. Fantastic. So I thought that rather than me taking a bunch of time introducing all these people, I thought it'd be great if they quickly introduced themselves and talked about quickly who they are, the business that they have. Julia, I'm looking right at you. Kick it off.
Hi, I'm Julia Markham. I'm the co-founder of Chris Loves Julia. I started it 14 years ago when I was 23, and I share all about renovating our home and loving where you live to an awesome online community, and we kind of bridge the gap between designer and homeowner and just are very, very authentic and transparent about renovation.
Love it.
And
all right. The carriers.
We think we might have gotten onto the wrong panel. I'm Jesse Carrier. This is my wife, Mara Miller. We are Carrier and Company Interiors. We're based in New York City. We are an old-fashioned decorating company. Our story began in 1995. We met at FIT in design school, and we spent a good decade after that working in the industry in New York with a bunch of really great designers. We learned the trade, and
incredible people you worked for.
We launched our own business in 2005, about 20-ish years ago, and that's the story. We've started a family somewhere in between, and we started our path to market about 5 years ago. with a line at Century, followed by Visual Comfort, Lee Jotha, Laloy,
of course.
and Soy Tremarin. So we're grateful to be here and on this very beautiful panel.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Joe?
Joanna Gaines. My husband and I started Magnolia 20 years ago. We got married in 2003. We started Magnolia a month later, like crazy people. So this year we're celebrating 20 years of Magnolia. And when I think back to the beginning, I could have never I couldn't have said we planned for that. It's been just quite the adventure. We started a little small shop, Magnolia, and while I was doing retail, Chip was doing renovation. And a couple years into the retail business, we were trying to figure out how we can work together more. And so I wanted to, I thought we could layer in some of the design that I was learning through my customers and that retail experience into the construction. So that's how we came up with Magnolia Homes. And then several years later, that's how the whole Fixer thing started with Fixer Upper. We did that for about 5 years, and then we have 5 kids. I always forget. The kids are the most important piece. I was like, there's one thing, those babies that are growing up fast. And we got into some food with the restaurant and the bakery, and then just the media side, which is the magazine, Magnolia Journal, and the network, Magnolia Network. And so we have our hands in a few things, but they all lead to the same core, which is home. We truly care. We want to draw people home, inspire people for their own home, and it's all about home. How do you make people feel at home?
Lovely. Jean, tell us about yourself. I love her.
There's a lot of my family here, that's why. I feel like I could be everybody's mother here. I think I'm old enough to be a lot of your mothers.
Stop it. We won't have that talk.
Okay. But I feel like I'm proof positive that this industry is a really good place for a mature woman. And that,
wow. Okay.
and that you can just grow gracefully into this, and you never know what might happen. And I started almost 40 years ago, and then ended up in custom kitchen design for many, many years. And it wasn't until my daughter, Grace, joined me in 2016, after doing a little bit of her own career teaching, that we got into whole home interior design, and it really changed a lot for us in a really beautiful and exciting way. I think it was a combination of having Grace by my side, that just encouragement and excitement, and also just being able to do whole homes. And it's moved us into opportunities that I never thought imaginable, including Joanna giving us a chance to show our design to a larger audience on her Magnolia Network. And now here we are with Laloy. This is our first brand collaboration. And
have you all seen the posters around town? I mean,
my head is on a billboard. So I'm just thankful to all of you, and thankful to so many that have just given me a chance. Yeah.
So about halfway through, I realized I was on the wrong panel. I'm actually just a delivery.
How did you? I'm
I don't
sorry. How did you
know.
get here?
Hi, I'm Amber.
Okay.
My name is Amber Lewis.
The people seem to know you a little bit.
Hi guys. You're all friends. We're all friends. Let's see. What's my story? Gosh, what is my story? I started forever ago as well.
Oh, yes.
I was a blogger first, which was fun. I started as a blogger, kind of like DIY space, just figuring that out. And then I branched into starting my own design firm, Amber Interiors, which is thriving and is my favorite thing ever. And then started running retail stores, which is a whole crazy thing in and of itself. I'm sure you know, Miss over there.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that. We're gonna talk about
Yeah.
retail.
So I have Shop, Amber Interiors, and that's opening 5th store next year, and then obviously the e-com platform. And then just licensing, authoring, all that fun stuff. Driving the trucks, you know, ice cream maker on the weekends.
Whatever it takes.
Yes, yeah, whatever we got to do. And also mom, which is amazing, to a 13-year-old girl. What else? You guys were all so poised and just made me, anyway. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got in a nutshell.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Good
I like
stuff.
to keep it
Right.
short.
So one of the big takeaways from having this whole group together is that we want to make all of you understand that there are so many different ways to come into this industry and succeed. This is a lineup of people who have taken different paths, who have had different experiences. Some have had a lot of training, some have had less training, some made their own way, and that's what is so amazing about the business that we are in. There is so much opportunity, and these people are living examples of what you can do and what you can build. And part of what I wanted to talk about, and Joanna, I don't want to stress you out in talking about the past few years. Joanna said, "Oh, do we have to revisit these past few years?" But the past few years have been so challenging for all of us on so many different levels, and you're trying to do so many things all at once. Tell us a little bit about what some of the challenges have been for you and how you've come out of them and how you're perhaps thinking differently about what you do as a result.
We decided to start a network during COVID, it felt like, and it was like, oh crap, you can't actually do production, so that was one thing that was like, oh shoot, the timing felt hard, but again, you look back and you're like, it was actually the perfect timing in that we could really think through what we were doing. And I think on the retail side, it was, just interesting because people's behaviors changed really quick, and we didn't plan, we didn't forecast for that. Yeah. And again, a lot of what we do is hospitality. It's when people come to the silos, we want them to dine there, we want them to hang out there, and when all that kind of goes away, you have to quickly pivot and figure out a different way to connect with your audience. And so we learned a lot during that time. But I'd say, what I love the most, just as we're talking design, I feel like for years we talked about, I guess in this industry, we talked about how to make your space beautiful, a place that you're proud of. And then when COVID hit, it was like, oh crap, you can have a pretty space, but if it's not functional, if it's not practical, if these spaces don't work for you, that's a whole other side. So seeing those two worlds collide, I think if anything, what we took from it, the team, whether, again, we're writing a story for the magazine or we're curating a product or creating something, we now think through that lens of, is this practical? Is it beautiful? Is it useful? I think things have just shifted to where, I even saw somewhere on just where we're at. It's 3 years since that, but we're still reeling from some of the stuff, especially in the retail industry. Things just need to be more meaningful. It just can't be stuff, and it can't just be pretty. It's got to have another layer to it to really connect with the audience. So I feel like, if anything, I can look back and go, we've grown up. We had to learn to pivot quick. I think that's business in general, but it was, I think the biggest thing was keep creating beauty in the hard, and that's how we'll rise out of this.
Gina, I know you have some strong opinions about retail and a lot of what you went through, and I know you do too, and we're going to talk about that. But Gina, tell us a little bit.
Yeah, we also had really just started retail not too long before COVID hit, and for us, it was a combination of a, whoa, what are we going to do? And then a, whoa, what could we do? And so for us, that was when we decided it would be possible to start a custom kitchen design and then cabinetry company that was virtual, like you could do the design virtually at this high level. And we had the time during COVID to really think through how would we make that work? How would we get our message out? How would we actually do the level of detail that we've been doing all these years when we only go to the job site 10 times versus relying on, like on-site people to give us measurements? But it took many months actually to put this together. But I don't think if it weren't for this difficulty of not being able to do things the way we always got to before, we would have ever even had this notion that we could do this, and it works. And the Stouffer Home Cabinetry is what we call it, which is an extension of our store, Stouffer Home. It is a new way to do custom kitchen design and cabinetry, and it's exciting, you know?
Yeah, you can relate to that.
I can relate, yeah.
Yeah.
2020 was obviously pretty wild, but one of the things that became kind of our issue with retail, we had to close the stores for a little while, but it actually, e-com grew so fast, and we were having such a hard time being able to keep up with that growth. And hire and photo shoots and all the things that kind of got paused during that time. So we really had to work on the fly, figure out how to make do with what we have, how to scale to this new degree, and also try to tell people it was cool that they weren't going to get their stuff till 2029.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Look guys, it's all fine. I will deliver it myself, apparently, when it does finally show up. But no, it was a really, I took away a very beautiful kind of lesson from 2020. It was the first time, yes, we were all stuck in our homes, and it really, exactly to Joe's point, like we had to make everything beautiful because we were looking at it and living in it in a very different way, absolutely a different way. So I actually felt that 2020 pivot was amazing for us. We were able to scale and make it a little bit larger, and with that struggle kind of came more strength. And same with design. We thought, oh, that's it. The phone's never going to ring again. And then I was like, oh, shit, their phone doesn't stop ringing. And this is... again, great problems to have. Right. But how do you do that from your home? And wildly, we all just got very creative with how we're going to do work in other states and, virtually. And it really kind of pushed the needle for us to then also realize that we are doing things inefficiently prior to. So we don't need to go to the job site 3,000 times. We can just go like 4 times now. And then, saves the client's money, saves us time, and all that fun stuff.
And I want to get into that more about some of the big takeaways and things that you're forever going to do differently as a result, because it sounds like there's quite a few. But as Amber was just saying, carriers, that moment where, oh my gosh, is the phone ever going to ring again? And we're in the middle of all these projects, and then suddenly everybody wants you. And how did that play out for you?
During COVID?
Yeah, tell us.
Sorry, Dennis. I was listening to all the answers, and I was thinking, we had a similar story. We don't have e-commerce, we don't have a retail store, but we had to pivot and kind of relaunch our business internally. And it took a little while to realize, because at first we didn't know what to expect. Then we were kind of surprised and excited that business was picking up and it was really busy. And then it was that third tier of like, well, now how are we going to keep up? Well, everything's different. We don't know what suppliers we can rely on. We don't understand all these kind of changes in the industry. And at first it was a little kind of stressful. And then I realized, and I was thinking, when we were learning to be designers, there was a point, I remember in design school, I'd fall in love with a solution, and I would try to finish the entire project protecting that one excellent solution. and I had to learn to give it up sometimes to let other things work better. And I felt like that was a pivot point in the business where we learned the same thing. All the things that were working so well for us before kind of weren't doing a good enough job anymore, and we had to start thinking differently. And we just took a personality test the other day when...
Really? We want to hear more about that.
It's super fun. It was actually really great, and I'm a square and Jesse's a circle, which is... Anybody who knows us... Yeah, anybody who knows us knows it's perfect. But a square likes analytics, likes routine, likes to know all the details.
So that's you.
That's me.
Right.
And it was really, in a way, liberating to start realizing that, I think for the first time really in my life, I started seeing challenges as opportunities. And that's like a very liberating change, and it changed our business, and it's slowly changing my personal outlook, but it's been a really exciting change. And we have, the staff has grown, and it's also and we were a very small mom and pop firm with like our kids. Like we grew up with the folks in the office, and COVID scattered them, and some of them never came back, and we were regrowing our team. And there was just so much change, and now I'm starting to really learn to embrace change and enjoy it and see it for like exciting opportunities.
Wow. Okay. So big changes personally and business.
Without a therapist.
Without
a therapist.
I'm impressed. Julia, tell me a little bit about what went on for you and what's changed.
I mean, obviously our business is a lot different than these heroes up here, but years ago, after a lot of years of imposter syndrome, like, what am I doing? What do I have to share? Why are all of these people like holding on to what I have to say and my thoughts on trends, or how am I selling things out? I had this huge imposter syndrome about it. And I actually think there is a healthy amount of imposter syndrome that everyone has, and I think that's completely normal. But when I started a few years ago really thinking about what I do offer and why I am even here, I realized that you don't have to be a hero. You can be a guide. And I've really, really embraced that over the past few years, that I'm someone that doesn't have to have all the answers. And I realized that really honing in on my personal design and personal aesthetic set me apart from other people. And it's a lot easier to compare things when they are alike. And so I really focused on being unique and being myself and my unique point of view, and then really looking at where we lived and how we were living and what our life looked like. And this is our life, and this is our brand. And so we made some really difficult decisions that weren't popular. You know, we moved out of the house that we just renovated across the country, and that was scary.
And so was that unsettling for your followers?
Yes.
Is that who it was unpopular with?
Yes.
They didn't want you to move? They didn't want you to...
Well, it's just, I'm so open with sharing our home, and I want everyone to feel like, it's an open door policy and they're welcome, and I feel like that's part of the community that I strive to curate, is a very welcoming community. And I think uprooting everyone and moving to North Carolina, which I absolutely love,
right,
has been amazing and rewarding for our business, but also has really taught me that you have to trust your gut in business and in your personal life, and you have to take care of your health, and you have to take care of your home, and then everything else will fall in line. And I really, our business has grown so much, and I think it's because I started trusting myself, and I stopped trying to be like anyone else. I just am just so happy to be me. And here.
Wow. So it's wonderful that you said what you did about imposter syndrome. I was making some new friends here in the front rows, and one of the things that they actually wanted to hear about was this notion of imposter syndrome, and how do you all deal with it? Do you all, I mean, everyone's nodding their heads. It's real for you, so I mean, tell me.
Yeah. I think that ultimately, kind of to speak to Julia, like the moment you let go and just start being completely authentic in not only your career, but also your life and all these big personal decisions, it's really true, like that will set you free to a degree. And I think ultimately every time you make these big choices, you are still going, why does anybody give a shit? Why, or why, sorry, I was told I could cuss.
Yes. Language.
What did I tell you about myself? Yeah. You know me, Danny, come on. But anyway, what I was saying, sir, is, I wake up every day and kind of go, wow, this is really freaking cool. Like, this is amazing, and I'm so grateful to be in this position, and I sort of turned the fear of, oh my God, is anybody gonna like this, to the gratitude that anybody likes this. And I think as long as I hold on to the notion of it actually doesn't even matter if anybody likes it, I'm proud of it. I want I want all these partnerships and everything to flourish, of course, Lalois. But I also, the pressure of making it happen, it's only going to become more business instead of actually a good product if I don't start really embracing that I like what I do and I'm actually proud of what I do and I really want this out in the world. So, imposter syndrome is real. It's just that shift of being really grateful for being able to figure out exactly who you are and what you provide the world that feels, different or just unique to you, and also not giving a shit either. That's the other thing. You can't.
Which is a big part of the takeaway, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you learned that, Julia, right?
Oh yeah, you have to, like I said, trust your gut, but also not care if there is negativity. Like, it's okay, because there's so much positivity, and like just focusing on that and being so excited for the creation process, that's like what gets me going, is just like I get to design and create something else, and there's going to be tons of people that are inspired by this, and I get to share it and tell my story, and just really, really focusing on that, and then seeing it where it doesn't land is also actually kind of fun.
Well, as long as it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does.
So Joanna, so tell me about it for you.
I actually studied broadcast journalism in college for 5 years, and then I was going to take over my father's tire business. And so the idea that I'm sitting on this panel is an absolute miracle. I actually know how to sell tires. So that's, for me, stepping into, this, truly, it was like, hey, Chip, I want to help you with your construction, because I realized, geez, construction can be construction if you let design lead construction. That's a whole other thing. So when we kind of did that together, we started seeing magic happen. A lot of the subs hated me. Anytime I would step on, they're like, oh, here comes this girl. But I think in pushing that, then that's what, whoever the production company that found us and the HE, all that stuff felt like a whirlwind. But I remember the moment the show came out, I wanted to duck my head, because I was like, I didn't go to school for this. Yeah. I have been guessing for, that means anybody can do this. But I've been guessing for so many years, and this is true, I can't watch season 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of Fixer, because I sometimes would use a 4x6 rug in a living room under I told Amir, I was like, have you seen my designs? When we met in like 2015. But I can't, because I'm like, I was just guessing. It was literally, if I had that in my house, I was putting it in that reveal. If you really watch the reveals again, it's all the same shit. In every house, just in a different room.
Let's go back and watch them again.
The magic was repurposing
all you're doing is
all my
encouraging
stuff.
us all to watch this.
Yes. So for years, I was like, I'm gonna get found out. When I still think when like a real designer watches, they're like, oh my gosh, like how did they give this girl a shit? Like I am putting that judgment on myself. I never wanted to read the comments because I was scared of whatever. And then you move into the food, because I love food. I love food and I love home, and I feel like it's all encompassing, design and food. It's all a story that I love to tell. And so then I moved into the food world with the cooking show, and you want to talk about imposter syndrome. It was like, Chip, don't read the tweets out loud. I don't want to hear how I said it was a slurry. And because now you're talking about science and food, and that's a whole other industry with the foodies. So a lot of ducking my head, but when it really came to what am I doing and why am I doing it? And that's every morning I wake up. If there's not a why there, I don't want to do it. I don't say yes to things just to do another thing. It's truly because there's something in my heart that this is what I'm here for. Yeah. And for me, I have to think of not a crowd. I have to think, if this impacts one person, if my story can inspire one person to step into design or business, or say, I'm going to cook a meal for my family tonight, even though I don't think I'm a great cook, that's all I care about. I have to make sure that that's why I'm doing this. Yeah. And then once you really ground yourself with why I'm here and why I'm doing this, I feel like everything else kind of fades away, because of course it's the world we live in. You're going to get that stuff. But if it can impact one person in their home, then it's like, I do this all day long.
Yeah. So I want to come back to that, but this design school issue seems to be a hot button issue for some people in the crowd. Should I? Shouldn't I? Carriers, help me out here. Let's talk about.
Sure.
I mean,
you can judge me all you want.
I
really respect.
What do we think?
You can judge
your
me
education, and I'll probably need to come to your school.
I was thinking how much I admire all of you who are opening your homes to the world, and it terrifies us, and we have never, it's truly the shoemaker's kids, right? We spend 10, 12 hours a day designing homes for Anna Wintour, for Jessica Chastain. We have all these beautiful projects, and then we come home to what we have, like post-it accordion shades in our windows still, because we can't get around to ordering our own Lee Joffa fabric, and we don't have rugs from the Loy yet because we just haven't had the time to measure. And it's kind of embarrassing. And when we were launching our Lee Joffa collection, they said it was during the pandemic and the showrooms were shut down and you couldn't actually see the fabric. So they shipped us some fabrics and they said, you're gonna have to go live on TV and like present this to all of our, on Zooms, to present your collection to all of our buyers. And we were like, well, shit, now they're gonna be in our living room. And nobody's ever been in our living room. We don't even invite friends over. So here it goes. So anyway, to answer your question, school or no school, I think, school was great for us. Obviously, we met there, we fell in love, we got married, we had we raised a family and started a business. But I think we learned so much more from our careers and the 10 years after school, just working for people. I mean, school is great, but I think experience is everything.
Yeah. What are we gonna say there, Mary?
I think
Put your microphone up there and we'll hear you. There you go. Okay.
I was talking to Dennis, I forgot.
She's just chatting with me, on her own.
Yeah, I would say, I think one of those big transitions that's happening in the world and in our industry is the amount of digital work. And I think now that the technical skill, like you can train your eye and learn process and taste from, through a lot of online means now, and Instagram and all that stuff. But there's some concrete, when you're building and when you're speccing things for people and they're spending money with you and it has to be right or it's gonna cost you to replace it and repair it, the specifics are really important. So I would say you might not need a degree, but you need a certain amount of training and course load, I would say, for CAD.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
InDesign, graphics, everything now is graphic. And like it's nerve-wracking because now we don't know how to do the things in the office. Like we used to do everything ourselves and we could. And now we have,
We've aged out of that.
We've aged out. I don't have the time to learn it. So, Smartsheets is as close as I'm getting. But everything is changing, and I would say the technology and the concrete skill set will is, I think, an important foundation.
Well, I did not go to design school, so I'm on that.
Me too.
Yeah.
See? I mean,
Jean.
I'm just saying. I mean, take away what you will, but I'm just saying. I mean, a lot of people ain't
But
go to
I
school.
have a very specific requirement where you can't work
Yes.
for me unless you did go to
Right.
design school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't know what I
Yeah.
don't know how to communicate to architects and contractors, so I have to hire where I lack, and that's always been my philosophy. Like you can't really teach good taste. I don't believe that you can. I think you can try. You either have it or you don't. So I think if you can be a really good leader and run a company and run an aesthetic that you can translate that to your brand to follow, then you just have to have a very, very strong team below you, which I do, and that has always been my goal. Like, I suck at this, so I'm gonna hire the best person at that. And that's truly, like, that's the only way that I've been able to grow the design firm, for sure.
Right. And go ahead, Jean.
I would say in some senses it feels a little hypocritical, me not going to design school, but needing skills at least from the people that we hire. But the construction documents and the diagramming and stuff is a skill. Like, you've got to learn it somewhere. And I only still draw by hand. That's not going to cut it, like in a lot of places.
You can't sell enough kitchen cabinets by
Can't
just
do
drawing them
that.
by hand, right?
So as I'm really, we're looking for skills, and that's how we have to hire. And my team is way more educated and way more capable in those ways than I ever have been.
But I think that's a really good, that's such a good takeaway, because ultimately you want to be surrounded by people that are stronger than you in other capacities. You don't always want to be the only person in the room that knows all the answers. I want to learn from my team. I want to learn from my clients. I want to learn from everybody I surround myself with. So I really enjoy being taught things that I didn't know how to do myself. It's not like I'm going to sit down and do the CAD. Don't have the time for that anymore. But I love watching it, and I love being able to read the documents, edit the documents, and then kind of send it back to fix again. That's fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, and the point that you made about recognizing what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And go ahead, Julia.
I was going to say, my team and I, we go away every year and we do a big retreat. And a part of scaling my business was finding people that are better at things than I am. And I used to think I wanted clones of myself.
Right.
Until I realized, the only way to scale is to find people that are better at things than you are. And we do this exercise where we list out the things that you love and are good at, the things you don't love but are good at, the things you don't love and are not good at, and the things that you love but are not good at. And ideally, you're doing a lot of the things that you love and are good at, and some of the things that you don't love but are good at, of course. Yeah. But then the things that you don't love and aren't good at, those shouldn't be in your circle. And the things that you love but aren't good at, those shouldn't be in your circle either. That was like, I am not good at photography, but I really like doing it, but that's not my circle. So I find someone who loves and is good at it, and that has really changed our whole brand.
Yeah. No. Huge takeaway. One of the challenges, so staying with that, is how do you get to keep doing the things that you love while also scaling your business and recognizing that in order to scale your business, you have to keep giving things away to others, right? To help you to grow. And I feel like the message of this panel was in part designing this business that you love, and how do we all stay in love with the business that we're building and growing, but also give it the room to grow. And I know that that's been hard.
You have to pivot. You always have to be able to change your hat and know that each day is going to be different. You have to pivot your focus. If the design firm on my end, if the design firm is doing really well and I'm not able to be there all the time, then I'm giving my lead designers way more autonomy to do their job really well. I'm no longer, hovering, looking over your shoulder, beating them, I try to
Gently beating.
hurting everybody. No, I try to just kind of know where I am going to be the most useful in each day and pivot that way. Because especially when you start getting into licensing and writing books and all these other things, you really have to change your focus. So to answer your question, how do you keep the love? You just have to know that if the idea is that you love design as a whole, all of these puzzle pieces are part of the design that you've built, right? The business that you've built, you just have to learn to love it in a little bit of a different, more delegating, less controlling way.
Yeah. It sounds like you're really working through that.
Dem,
Yeah. Tell me, Amber.
how much time you got, baby? I am working through it with you.
Is
I'm
it-
calling you later.
Well, call me later. You know my number. Joanna, I mean, is that challenging for you? I mean, you were saying earlier you're doing all these different things. I mean, is it hard for you to let other people in and help you in the way that...
I want to do your personality test, but I'm a square 100%. So I would imagine Chip is like a triangle or a circle. I don't know what that means, but he's not a square. But when I did another personality test, which was like geared for business and leadership, it was like the person I am at work is this, but who I really am is this. And they were like, so when you get home at the end of the day, you're completely spent because you're operating as someone that maybe your personality really isn't. So for me, it was, why am I feeling like I'm working so hard? I love my work, but why am I so exhausted? Okay, so I'm not a great manager of people, is what I realized. Like, I love teams, but hiring around me to help manage these jobs, manage the businesses, all that, I wanted to kind of do it all because I just love business, and I like to micromanage, hover, whatever it is. I just love that, but I'm trying not to do that anymore. Some of my team members are here and they're like, liar, but I really am trying to recover from...
A for effort?
Yes. But I think for me, what's hard is I really love every aspect of business. And so it's like I wake up every day, I'm like, I get excited about going to work. And whether it's curating product or even trying to figure out, problems in business, it's just fun. But I also know that there's only so much time, and with a family and all that, I have to let go and trust that there's others around me that are going to do it way better, who are going to manage the team in a really healthy way. And so just really trying to find, I have to do this like every quarter. What do I want to spend this quarter? Like, what do I want to give my energy towards? What do I want to, and I always have to start at home. That is the most grounding thing for me. It's like something about home sets me up for when I walk out that door. So I always have to start there. But I would just say, again, it is about team, and it's about hiring people who have the strengths that you don't have and being very open about it and not trying to act like you have all the answers, but just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I love that y'all all have all my designers were interior design. They all went to school for it. So what I get to learn from them, I still don't know how to do SketchUp or CAD, and I don't know if I ever could. But seeing that stuff come to life is such a skill. But again, it's just about surrounding yourself with people who have other strengths so that you can run in your lane really well, and then they can run other lanes really well.
So carriers, knowing this circle and square information that we now have, right?
I don't know if we have enough time for this, Dennis.
How do
Taking
we...
calls after this.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking about this later. Don't you worry, Jesse Carrier. But how do you apply that now to how you think about bringing people on? Because I thought Julia's point was so interesting. At first you think, I want another me. But maybe you don't. Do you want a circle or do you want a square? Seriously, like how has it made you think about the team that you want to assemble?
Well, we only learned of this personality test from another partner who shall remain nameless, who actually uses the personality test before they hire.
Really? Oh, that would have been such a good idea, right? Oh, shoot.
So we may be including a fun puzzle for future interviews, but.
That's right, thank you.
Yes.
The point was that there are, skill sets needed for different jobs. So there's folks who you need a lot of creativity from. You don't need a lot of creativity maybe from your bookkeeper. So it was the idea of really matching.
Right. Hopefully not. I'm right. You don't want to create a bookkeeper.
It depends.
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Depends on your business maybe, or your business model. But it was the idea of, and I was really proud because part of this process of growing our company and growing has been learning to let go, learning to really, we don't have a huge team, so really looking at who each one is and what their strengths are and how we can elevate those strengths. Does it fit into our business model? Will it work? And finding like a place for everybody's strengths has been great, and I was already starting to kind of do that analysis, so I was feeling pretty good that I think there's validity to that, and that, yeah, there's a lot of room in companies for all different strengths and personalities, and it really is about just kind of filling in all those gaps to create a strong foundation.
So it made you feel better about the team you already have. So you didn't have to go in and say, sorry guys, I took this personality test and some of you are gonna have to go. I mean, so that, but you've got the right team, and they have a mix of skills.
Or we're already kind of becoming aware of, we're thinking of them in terms of strengths and weaknesses and balancing teams, and it's not good, bad, in, out. It's just kind of creating
It's very
this
trial and error too. Like, well,
balance.
Yeah. That's a hard conversation though to have with people. Oh, you know what, you're really great at this, and you're not quite as good at that, right? I mean, and how was it for you with assessing yourself about that, Julia? I mean...
Well, I also work with two of my sisters, so...
Wow.
But I think, honestly, allowing people to show you what their unique ability is and what their passion is, and just providing a way for them to really flourish. I think creating a business that you love, that is going to stand the test of time. I mean, I've been doing what I'm doing for 14 years, and a lot of times people are like, how do you just do it every day? And it's like, well, I really like what I do, and I'm hoping I'm surrounding myself, like the panel said, with other people that like what they do. And we started this Good Influencer program, which helps other people do what we do and find their niche. And so many times people are unsure of what their niche should be. And I'm like, think about what you could talk about every day for 20 years. Like, you could just never get sick of talking about it or never get sick of doing it. And I think that is truly what I found in just designing a home that I love to live in and sharing about that. But it's going to be different for everyone. And so I think just being really honest with yourself and your brand and your business and your coworkers and your husband about what it is that you love, and then allowing yourself to grow and evolve. I think sometimes we pinpoint ourselves like, this is who I am. And then 14 years pass, and no, I'm not that person anymore. I've grown and evolved, and I've allowed myself to do that. I have a cooking show now. It's like you're allowed to grow and evolve. We're supposed to as human beings. And just allowing your passions to kind of guide that evolution throughout your whole life is really how to stay in the game.
Yeah. Amber, do you think we need a cooking show?
I think we're the only people that don't have it.
I feel like we are.
Right?
I'll
I feel like
green
we're
light
the
that
only
show.
people that had a cooking show.
But you know what?
So write it down.
I cook now.
Amber, you want a cooking show?
Wait, wait, but Joe,
I'm not joking.
hold on.
Everybody wants Amber to have a cooking
You
show.
guys, this is actually crazy. So I just recently started cooking, and I am obsessed with it, and it
This
is
is
my favorite
perfect.
thing. I actually polled the audience, and we had a resounding, absolutely yes, you should definitely have a cooking show. So, girl,
Well,
Okay.
we got it.
where's
We're
my
on it,
stage
Amber.
mom? I think she's over there. Stage
Okay,
mom?
spring 2024.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amber in the kitchen.
Amber in the
you
kitchen.
can title it whatever you want.
I like Amber in the kitchen. I think that's good, Joe.
Yeah.
She does kitchen stuff. It's just stuff in the kitchen. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. No training there either. Sure. No.
You guys-
What's to know?
I have
Right?
come this far with Zilcho training, so
Yes.
I'm sure I'm great in the kitchen.
You
Yeah.
are going to be great in the kitchen.
I can design it, and then I can burn an egg. It's
and Joanna has been looking for new shows.
Joe, I got you.
She's-
We're good.
Yeah.
It's a, now you've heard it here first.
Exactly.
crew.
I mean, tune in next season to the Magnolia Network. All right. But in thinking about, because I know we're running out of time,
Time is money,
Oh,
you know?
I know. But the retail business, your design firm is so much bigger than you ever thought it would be. Right? How many people do you have on your team?
Well, actually, my design team is quite little. We're really, I call us mean and mighty and small. I think, I don't know, 9, 10 of us, something
But how many projects are you doing with 9 people?
18?
Yeah, 18 projects. Yeah.
But on the shop side, there's over 100 employees, I think, something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of people. I don't like people managing either. It's the worst part of the job. That's why you have to hire out for that kind of stuff. You just can't do it yourself.
Right, which is also part of the answer to the scaling, right? Is you've got to hire those people
Yeah.
who can manage all those other people, or you can't possibly get to that size, right?
Right.
Yes, yes. Jean, in thinking about, so you made this big move to be with your family, and Jean used to say no to whole home projects. Did you hear that part earlier? Yeah, she was like, no, I can't do that. I'll just do the kitchens.
Oh, yeah, that's to whole home.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now she does whole homes, and right?
Yeah, and I love them.
Yes.
And my phone is ringing. I can't believe it.
Oh my God. Who's
It's my
calling
son.
her?
It's my son, John. He's probably going, how's it going? Pretty good.
I feel like it's going okay.
I'm thinking about kitchens, and I'm thinking about, how I did say no. And then, I think maybe a lot of us find a spot that we're very comfortable in, and we feel secure in there. I did with kitchens, and when I was given the opportunity to do something beyond, it's a little scary. But also I feel like there are certain doors that the Lord opens for us, and He's like saying, I'll be on the other side of that door if you walk through it. And that's always been my experience, and it's been a good one. And there's been a lot of stuff that has been scary, but a lot of it is because my kids have encouraged me to do it or even suggested it. Like the store was Grace's idea. I'd never thought about having a store before, and this was not my aspiration. But figuring it out was challenging. But it was the right thing, and there was people in place encouraging me and giving me courage. And now 3 of our 4 kids are involved in the business, and I would say they're like a source of strength and courage. And because it's, anytime you do something that you don't have any experience in, which I feel like is my whole life, and then going after it, it takes courage, but it strengthens you. It really does. And it's very satisfying. And then the other thing that I've been thinking about a lot is listening to everybody here. It's doing something well and committing to it is a really good thing. And if you do that and you make that your goal, is to do what you're doing well and with integrity and consistency, you never know what will happen. But if your goal is to do that, do it well, do it with consistency, do it with integrity, anything that happens is okay. Because you can be okay with yourself. And in this era where there's a lot of opportunities to become big fast, that's challenging, I think, actually. And it doesn't give you the chance to ground in those other things. And so I would say, I just want to encourage people, do what you're doing well. Do it with integrity. It will go well for you no matter what.
Okay, kind of hard to top that message, Jean, right? I feel like that if there's one big takeaway from the whole thing, right? I feel like that's it. But before we go, we want to call Cyrus. Is he sitting there out there? Cyrus Laloy. He wants to come to the stage. He brought us all together. He made this possible. Come on up here. And Steven's going to come too. Do it. Take my mic.
And we got Amir here also.
Hey!
So we have the whole family.
We love you, Amir.
You guys are the most amazing panel here, and I think the entire Market Center has ever seen. I want to, right? Thank you for all of you guys being here today, and thank all the people that are being here. And I'm just going to give the stage to Cyrus and Stephen. I'm going to stay back. Thank you.
Like Amir was saying, we're truly so blessed to have such great partnerships. It's one of the questions I get most often at Market. You know, how is it working with Julia, or Joanna, or whomever it may be? And truly, they're all wonderful. They're extremely committed to this industry. They love what they do. I think that's a common thread amongst all of them. So thank you guys again. Thank you, the High Point Market Authority. Thank you, Dennis. Yes, and my brother reminded me we have a little mix and mingle in our show. We'd be honored to have all of you there. They'll all be there. It's a great opportunity to get to meet them and ask some more questions and maybe see some beautiful rugs. So.
I was going to say, in addition to being eloquent speakers, they're wonderful designers, so we'd love for you guys to come and see what they've done this market. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out and being such a fantastic audience and being so enthusiastic. Will you please join me in thanking this incredible
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.